But the rest get to it. Ain't taking no slack, get to it. You take a loss, try to bounce back, but you blew it. Let me show you how to do it. I just feel it, I can prove it. Bro, boy, what you doing? Nigga, ain't nothing to it. Ain't no cows, ain't no excuses. Let's get to it. Hey. I don't care what they talking. All I want is my Porsche. I'ma ride them king. Nigga, me, I'm a force. Kill them off like a boss. Nigga, you better stop it. All about my profit. I'm shooting up like a rocket. Who got to blow these niggas out the water? He go hard and go hard. Steph Curry, fourth quarter. All I got is my neck. All I feel is my ball. All I bring is that short. Blood more than Pearl Harbor. He ain't real, he alive. If he real, who am I? Now his ass in the fire. If he can't till I die, please don't cross the line. Try to stop trying. Boom, sharp as wild wide. I'm on the grind. Let's get to it. Double time and believe. You ain't humming me, nigga. I brought a whole army of niggas. So I ain't moving with precision. Follow every order given. Let's get to it. Make it a shit, get to it. Ain't taking no shit, get to it. You take a loss, try to bounce back, but you blew it. Let me show you how to do it. Undisputed, I can prove it. One more, make it do it. Nigga, ain't nothing to it. Ain't no cows, ain't no excuses. Let's get to it. Like, you the truth, I'm speaking. Lot of hate for no reason. You probably don't understand. That's why I got the master plan. And know the power in my hand. Send the shit on demand. Better watch where you stand. Get flamed up and ain't changing up for nobody. They're warfare, what you know about? This ain't a rap, this a message. Ain't a real be respected. Fake niggas like a virus. Lot of niggas infected. I came to correct. Bought a whole bunch of soldiers. Stay moving my discretion. We the rivers in the inch. All the niggas hit the exit. Them niggas get the sprint. I be mad at your attention. Sorry, nigga, I ain't folding. Pushing on, nigga, hold it. Nigga, look how I'm rolling. Shorty check my demeanor. He school, but I'm cleaner. Flow like Aquafina. He don't run the surf game. Hold up. Yeah, boy, yeah. I gotta deliver, about to have a baby. But I still wanna breathe. Let's get to it. Nothing comes to a dream. I'm strictly dead. I'm all about the business. Rock solid and relentless. You came to make friends. I came to make a killing. That's why I'm gonna kill it. These niggas hurting. Ain't swamp fishing, nigga. You need to hear it. I know you can hear me. I'ma bet you a rook. And Kanye, you a Donald Trump on a pussy. I'ma kill your cook. Ain't nothing you can tell me. I'm too ready. Let's get to it.
Purchase your tracks now.
Know the people been waiting for a minute for something authentic. Came in the truth and bossed in it. Made niggas recruit. Had to shed light on a false image. You became hardcore. Now who the fuck for a scrimmage to words for sure? What is good riddance? Don't affiliate with feminine symptoms. I know you feel me, nigga. This is death threat in hip hop. You don't stop that weak shit. I'ma mix your lean with some grimlock. When the last time you heard it this wrong? What I wish for's when the earth and heaven is by the piss fall. We've been to war, them the ones I'm taking risks for. Ain't got no pics or no cars to hold. Only angels watch my steps and God guard my soul. They let them leave my body cold. I know you feel me, nigga. Let the wicked weep and the meek will fail. God never been 50-50. I said now I'm like to sleep a cell. Let the wretched cry, silence the pretender. A rebel without a cause, as long as I remember. I'm taking the kingdom, the only thing on my agenda. Can't avoid me, nigga. Middle finger to the ones that try to destroy me. Revenge your beauty, I'm a beast. I told the bitch she can't eat unless she join me for dinner. My God ain't got no regard for a sinner. I'm called fall on him like timber. I know you feel me, nigga. In the eyes of terror, I stand still. Go to work for the colony, bring it back to the anthill. Plus everything I drop heavy as an anvil. Show you how to stand like a man in this damn field. I know you feel me, nigga. Fuck the quality, it gotta be one man win and the rest lose. Waves devastating, I'm calculating my next move. You became a real nigga, seek refuge. Body shots for cars, that'll get you bruised. My niggas home like a check your little attitude. I came to fuck up your mood. home on your little holiday like I'm Mr. Scrooge. Resurrected from the grave, walking from the fall. Visions in my eyes, gripping the mic, screaming, God bless the underdog down by the letter. I live by the protocol, walk by faith, not by sight. Ain't no hope in rebels. Life like a war receipt, looking forward to a world that never left me. I will endure, election will be sure, correction will be swift. No Will Smith, but I am legend. What else would you call the killer of deception? A leader got soldiers on post in every direction. On gold like a German shepherd, young and a restless, sweat harder like a diamond necklace. I know you feel me, nigga.
Purchase your tracks today.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Shema Shabbat Thumb to all the brothers. And Yahweh Shamar of them by Shum, shout out to all the sisters. This is the SBK Lachwan Kadash class here in the city of Chicago, and I am precinct officer of 1,000 Kwame Nabako and on down. All right, so tonight's going to be a very interesting class as I'm going to be doing something pretty new. But first, I want to go ahead and dive into the Lachwan Kadash chart first. You understand? A lot of brothers and sisters outside the truth may not know anything about the Lachwan Kadash, and this is the place to know your own language. All right, so this right here is the Lachwan Kadash chart. This says at the upper left-hand corner, this is pronounced as La Shawan Kodash, which is translated as holy tongue. All right, or we can say Bar Shapah, which is the Hebrew language. All right, because that's exactly what the holy tongue is. All right, this is exactly what it'll look like written out in its original format in the Paleo Hebrew, and we read and we write everything out from the right hand side to the left. All right, and I'm going to show you a few examples of what that would look like on the board in a minute. All right, so we read and we write from the right to the left. All right, so this would be actually going to be pronounced as La Shawan Kodash. All right, you wouldn't want to say it starting out over here and say Shaqua Nawa. It just wouldn't sound right. You know what I'm saying? You just be speaking your own language backwards. All right, so we read and we write everything out from the right hand side to the left. All right, there's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Now that goes for both the Paleo and the Assyrian. And right now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is pronounce each and every letter by itself. All right, starting from the right hand side, which is the very beginning. So the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet is pronounced as A. Then the second letter is pronounced as Ba. Then Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Cha, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Taza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, and Tha. All right, so the pronunciation for all 22 letters is the exact same for the Syrian Hebrew, which also has 22 letters, and also with 5 additional letters that will fall at the end of that word. All right, and if you would like to copy this Lachwan Kadash chart, you can place your email in this class, so that way I can get one on over to you. All right. So in the meantime, if there are any questions at all pertaining towards Lachwan Kadash, as I'm adjusting the camera right now, you can better ask your questions while we live. All right. Any questions as it pertains towards the Lachwan Kadash, any scriptures you would like to have be broken down, anything of that case or that scenario, or anything you would just like to have be written out in the Hebrew, you understand, or even to the point of any words that you would like in the Hebrew. All right. But nonetheless, as you've seen in the title of this class, I titled it Pronominal Suffixes and verb tenses. So that's what we're dealing with today. All right. so let me finish writing this one up here on the board. I'm gonna show you exactly what our pronominal suffixes are in a minute. Let me get a darker marker. Hold up. Okay, so that's what pronominal suffixes are. All right. Pronominal suffixes are shortened forms of personal pronouns. All right. I'm going to show you some of those personal pronouns up in the board now. All right, some examples right here. And these letters in which I'm writing out are going to be in the Syrian Hebrew, because that is what you will see primarily everywhere you go in today's society. So we got the letter wa as a pronominal suffix. It means him, because him is also known as a personal pronoun. Personal pronouns would be he, she, him, we, are, they. You understand? Those are personal pronouns. All right. And her in the Syrian her as a Syrian letter from the Hebrew language. This particular pronominal suffix will mean her as a personal pronoun. All right. All right. So now we have ka as a Syrian letter, which means you, and that's for both masculine and feminine, which is why I put M plus F. All right. Now we have the letter ya, and this personal pronoun is me. All right, so ya is the pronominal suffix. All the letters in which I'm writing up here on the board are all pronominal suffixes. All right, it's just that its meaning is what is the personal pronoun. All right. All right, so now we have hum in the Hebrew, which is them, and this is third person masculine, which means that it's masculine. And now we have han, all right, which is going to be them femininely. All right, you know what I'm going to do to avoid any confusion? I'm just going to put M in parentheses and then F in parentheses. All right. All right, so now we have com, which is spelled K-A-M. And this is, well, actually I put the wrong one, put the wrong thing right there. But that is that is actually how you pronounce it, as com. But what it actually means is, as a personal pronoun, it means you, plurally. All right. And this would be masculine plural. So I'm gonna put M/PL for plural. All right. also have con as a prenominal suffix, and it would mean you also as well, and this will be feminine plural. All right. And last but not least, we have nawa, all right, which means us, all right. So these are all the prenominal suffixes right here, which are shortened forms of personal pronouns, and you will see all of these at the end of words in Hebrew. And I'm going to show you some examples of what those will look like in a minute. But for right now, I'm just going to allow y'all to collect this information on down, and then I'll be right back. All right, so for the majority of the prenominal suffixes that are written up on the board, I'm going to choose a few of them to provide a few examples of how you would see them in Hebrew, how you would see them in the Tanakh and the Hebrew Bible. All right. So for the first prenominal suffix, we are going to be, let me see for a second. We're going to be using ba. All right. We're going to be using the preposition ba. All right. Let me rewrite that for a hot second. All right. So if you don't know what prepositions are very much like prenominal suffixes, but they are also in many ways like personal pronouns and adjectives. You understand? All rolled up into one, which are letters from Isupk chart, which are going to be at the end, which are suffixes, or at the very beginning of a word, which is prefixes, to where it will give that word a much more implied meaning. And this right here is a preposition right here, which is a prefix, which means in, by, or with. All right. So now the prenominal suffix is going to go at the end of ba. All right. So remember the letters on the left hand side are the ending letters. The letters on the right hand side are the very beginning letters. All right. So we're going to say 3ms. What is 3ms? 3ms is third person masculine singular, meaning you would be saying this in third person as a man, which is masculine, and singular, meaning you are speaking towards one person. All right. And we're going to put bawa. All right. Wa right here is our prenominal suffix. How do we know that? Because it's at the very end of this word. And we just had it up here on the board recently. All right. So we have bawa in the Hebrew. And two, as well, like when you attend Sabbath service, or when you are a brother that's coming up to the podium, almost said pulpit. when you coming up to the table, and when you're reading the Hebrew, when you're reading the Lashon Kodash, the majority of the words I'm about to put up on the board is what would trip a lot of people off. All right, so this is going to avoid all that confusion. All right, so our first word right here is bawa, and bawa in the Hebrew means with him. All right, so how do I know that? I know because I just wrote up here at the very top our preposition ba, which means in, by, or with. And then the wa at the end is what I had up in the board earlier as far as for all of the prenominal suffixes. All right, and wa means him. All right, so it would be with him, bawa. All right. All right, so now we have third person feminine singular. And So instead of bawa, it's going to be baha. All right. And baha in the Hebrew means with her. All right. Now, for anybody who would just say ba as opposed to saying baha, then there would be no point of having her at the end and having with at the very beginning, as to where it would be a whole completely different word. The way in which you connect letters and the way in which letters are separate plays a part in how the meaning of the word comes into play. All right. So baha in the Hebrew means with her. Now we have baka. All right, and baka in the Hebrew means with you. And this right here is masculine. All right, this is you speaking in second person masculine towards one brother. All right, so that would be, if I happen to say in Lachwan Gadash, Shalom Ma Baka, I would be saying peace. I would be saying peace. Who is with you? You understand? Baka, with you. All right, because that's what Baka means in the Hebrew. All right, it means with you. All right. All right, so now we have second person feminine singular, which is going to be the exact same thing, which is going to be baka. All right, so I'm pretty sure some of y'all may be wondering, like, if you happen to see this in the Hebrew in the Tanakh, and it says baka, how do you know if it's talking about a man or a woman? The way in which you know is that everything is in context in the scripture. If it's talking about Moses, it would say baka. If it's talking about Sarah, it would say baka. It would be directed towards a woman or someone feminine. All right. All right. So that would be with you in the same instance as well. All right. So now we have Baya. All right. Baya is now our next one. And this is one CS. What is one CS? It's you speaking in first person, common towards one person. All right. And it doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter who. Um, and this right here means with me. All right. Because our preposition ba means with, and I don't even also have to use with. I can use any of the other two. I can use in or by, and the meaning will still come out the same, nonetheless. All right. So this here means with me, and this me is coming from the prenominal suffix ya, which means me. All right. All right. So now we have in the Hebrew baham, and baham in the Hebrew means with them. All right. And actually, this one example right here, and using the preposition "but" is actually just showing all of the examples of how these prenominal suffixes, prenominal suffixes would look like when you come across them in the Hebrew. All right. Okay. So now we on second person masculine plural, and this is going to be become. All right. And I'm going to underline how many syllables is in these words as well. so you can better know its proper pronunciation. All right, there we go. All right, so we have become in the Hebrew. And become in the Hebrew means you. It's like a with you. All right. And this is plural because the come at the end is a prenominal suffix, which is plural for saying you. All right. All right. So now we have. Actually, I put the wrong letters. Lock it. So now we have become. All right. All right. So become is now a next word, and this is second person feminine plural. So this would be saying with you, and which would mean the same thing, but it matters on how you say it and who you're saying it to. All right, and how you write it out in the Lashon Gadash. If you say it with you plurally and second person feminine plural, then it would be referring towards sisters. If you're saying become, um, which is second person masculine plural, then that would be with you in that instance. All right. All right. So now, last but not least, the last one, first person come in plural. This is going to be banal. All right. And banal in the Hebrew means with us. All right. The na and the wa are both separated on the end. They're not connected. So it will be pronounced as ba nawa, banawa. All right. And if you happen to look at the very last letters of these words, nawa, which means us, which is a which is a prenominal suffix. You also have kan, come. You also have ham, and you also have ya on this side. And then over here, you have ka and ka, which means you when it's at the end of a word as a prenominal suffix. You even also have her. Y'all even also have ha, which means her, as a prenominal suffix. When ha is at the end of a word, that word is feminine. All right. That's also another thing. Anytime we have the letter ha at the end of a word, it doesn't matter what word it is, and if it's not connected towards anything, that word is always feminine. All right. So now you also have our very first one. We have wa. All right. So when wa is at the end of a word, nothing attached to it, that word is masculine. It's directed towards a man. All right. So that's just something that's just real beneficial for you to know as it pertains towards understanding our own language. All right. So I'm gonna keep this information on the board. I'm gonna come on back, and then I'm gonna bring out a little bit of some more information as it pertains towards these prenominal suffixes, and then I'm gonna go ahead and merge the class on over towards um, the verb tenses that I want to bring on now. All right. so I just put that up there at the top about how prenominal suffixes are affixed to the end of nouns. All right, and I'm going to show another example with this here, and that's going to be that. All right, so we have we have the plural form of son, which is sons over here on this side, and then we have the singular form, which is son, which means bond over here on this side. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is that for the singular as well as for the plural, I'm going to be putting all of the prenominal suffixes for a singular word, and then I'm going to put all of the prenominal suffixes for plural words on this side. All right. So that way, when you happen to come across um, some prenominal suffixes in the Bible, when you happen to catch it with your eye when you're studying the Tanakh, then you can better know what words actually are. Um, so that way you can better know which words actually have prenominal suffixes and which ones aren't. All right, and this is a good example of how this one better help you out. All right, so it's like it. This is actually pronounced as Bunwa. This is not pronounced as Banawa. All right, all right. So based off what I had up here on the board earlier with Banawa, Banawa was what? It means with us. You understand? But I'll put right here his son. Everything is very important how you pronounce certain words, and you are knowing what letters are connected and which ones aren't. Because I said before, if you happen to um, pronounce a word wrong based on the context of what's written in the Bible, then you basically just saying a word that's not in the scriptures. You basically just saying a word that's not that's not what you would normally meant to say. And let me break this on down right now. All right. So of course we have this up in the board earlier. We had Banawa. All right. And Banawa means in the Hebrew with us. All right. Well, this is different because all these letters are singular in saying Banawa, which means with us. You understand? If, and let me repeat that as well. All right. So for all three of these letters, they are all singular. You understand? Not either one of these letters is connected. And due to that fact, that the meaning of that word would mean with us. Up here is different because instead of Banawa, it would be right here. be Bunya. All right. It will be pronounced, sorry, not Bunya, Bunwa. My mistake. It will be pronounced as Bunwa. All right. Which would mean his son. Because this pronominal suffix here is his or him. You understand? It means his or him. You understand? But we using his because you can possess a son because a son is a noun. You understand? If it would have been him, then this word right here would be somewhat of a different word, which would be a verb. All right. So this right here is actually pronounced as Bunwa, which means his son because the ba and the na are connected. That's how the word change. You understand what it's meaning, and along with its pronunciation. All right. So it's real important that you know what letters in the Hebrew are connected, and which ones aren't. And the best way to start out on knowing how to do that is by first getting used to the ancient Hebrew first, of the Paleo Hebrew. You understand? Because with the Paleo Hebrew, as I write it out in its first form, like this, you can have separators and connectors. You understand? So this will require a separator, and a separator, which will help you out as far as for knowing which letters are connected and which ones aren't. All right, so this will be a good tool to help you out on knowing which letters are connected. Which letters are connected and which ones are not. All right, so this will be ba nawa. All right, so now if I happen to do this one right up here at the top in the ancient Hebrew, then this will require a connector. All right, connector is like a smiley face that connects two letters together, and then the one on the ends is going to have a separator, where it's going to be that letter by itself. So it will be pronounced as ban wa, shalom. All right, just that simple. All right. So the ancient Hebrew is always easiest to start out with first, and then make your way on over towards the Syrian Hebrew to where you don't need the training wheels like this no more. All right. All right. So we have his son, which is pronounced as Banwa in the Hebrew, and as well I'm gonna put the little squiggling line underneath all of the predominant suffixes, so that way you can better know what they are. All right. All right. So that was that as far as for his son. Now I'm gonna write out her son up now. And notice how I'm writing this out in the Lashon Gadash by writing it out first from the right and then working my way on over towards the left. You don't want to do this in Lashon Gadash. You understand? You don't want to write out the words backwards. You understand? Because you're going to come up with a word that's not even a word. All right, so now we have Bunha. All right. All right, so now we have Bunha in the Lashon Gadash, and then the Ha is the pronominal suffix. All right. All right, so now we have Bunka, which means your son. And I'm going to put M plus F because that can go on for both either masculine or feminine. For your son, which is pronounced as Bunka, in the Hebrew. you'll see this a lot too, where it says Banya, all right, in the Lashon Kodash. And Banya in the Hebrew means my son, all right, and Ya at the end is the Imai, all right. The Ka is the your, the Ha is the her, the Wa is the his, all right. Because remember what I have up here at the top. Pronominal suffixes are shortened forms of personal pronouns. All right, and these personal pronouns are my, your, her, and his, which are acting as letters from the Lashon Kodash chart, which are at the end of nouns. All right. All right. So now we have our son, which is going to be pronounced as Banawa. All right. And I put the squiggly lines behind both the na and the wa because the nawa is actually the hour. All right. So this is all the prenominal socket. This right here is all of the prenominal suffixes over here on this side for a singular word. I mean for this word in a singular form. Now we're about to make our way on over here towards its plural form. All right. I'm gonna write this out a little bit smaller. All right. So we have Bani Yawa in the Hebrew, which means his son. It's like a his sons. All right. And then we have Bani Yaha in the Hebrew. All right, so we have Bani Yaha in the Hebrew, which means her sons, in the Lashon Kodash. Okay. All right, so we have their sons of now, which is pronounced as Ban Yahum in the Hebrew. All right, so we have Ban Yahum. And this here is actually masculine in this case. So I'm going to put M in parentheses as far as saying their sons in the Hebrew, which is pronounced as Ban Yahum. I'm going to put up the feminine form of saying their sons in the Hebrew if it's directing towards a sister or a sister saying it out of my mouth. All right. So instead of saying Bunyahum, it's pronounced as Bunyahan. All right. All right. So now we have a four-syllable word for saying our sons in the Hebrew, which is pronounced as Bunyanawa. All right. And now for my sons, it will actually will be pronounced like the one over here, like the one for the singular form of son. Where's it at? Like Benya right here, which means my son for its singular form. Now for its plural form, it's going to be the same thing, but Benya. All right. So that's going to stay the same. All right. And last but not least, I have your son's masculine and feminine, which is actually the same pronunciation. I just want to use extra space at the bottom just to fill that in. It is pronounced as Bunyaka. All right. So Bunyaka in the Hebrew means your sons. Okay. All right. So the little squiggly lines is actually the letters that are the prenominal suffixes that is attached towards the noun at the end of the noun. All right. So that was that as far as for explaining prenominal suffixes and what they are and how you see them in action in the Bible. All right. So I'm gonna keep this information on board, and I'm gonna come on back and then explain in depth exactly what verb tenses are, and we're gonna be working with that. All right. Okay, now when it comes down towards the Hebrew, um, you're gonna have as in what it's like as in what you will find out there in the world many different Hebrew stems. All right, so we're gonna be dealing with that right now. All right, so you have according to our oppressor many different stems in Hebrew, which will give off many different pronunciations. All right, that's where there's only one pronunciation for the Lashon Gadash. You got the Nepal stem. Let me write these up on the board. And I actually have a book pertaining towards that. Bear with me. Bear with me for a moment. I can while walking. Okay, here we go. All right, so you actually have the pi L stem, the Paul stem, the Nepal stem, and I'm not going to put them all up on the board because they're all garbage. But you have many different stems in which throws off a lot of our brothers and sisters outside the truth, to where these different stems will give each and every letter of the Lashon Gadash chart a whole completely different pronunciation from its original pronunciation. All right, and these different stems had different vowel points for each and every one of them. All right, and what you see this when you read the Tanakh. All right, when you read the Tanakh, you don't want to get you don't want to get caught up in these vowel points. You understand? Because these different vowel points derive from these different stems. All right, which give that particular letter a whole completely different pronunciation. You understand? That is something that you want to stay away from and don't get caught up in. Now, the stem that we only teach and that we only speak is that we only speak in is the qual stem. The qual stem is basically just its original format for what it is. All right, so shalom. All right. So these are going to be some examples of some qual stems right here. All right, so we have what? We have Gadal. It wouldn't be pronounced as Gadallah. It will be pronounced as Gadal. All right, a two-syllable word, which means what? Which means he was great. Qual stem are actually words that doesn't have prepositions, that doesn't have pronominal suffixes. Suffixes. It's just a word just by itself. All right. So it means he was great. All right. Gonna throw up another one. Now we have Kasak. All two-syllable word, which means what? Which means he was strong. All right. I'm pretty sure this word is very familiar. With a lot of people. And this here is Quadash. All right. All right. Quadash. And Quadash in the Hebrew means holy. In a lot of cases, when you read the Bible, in the Lashon Quadash, or when you look at the translation, it will say he was holy. All right. When it's referring towards a person. All right. So now we have Zaquan, which is a two-syllable word, which means what? It means he was old, or just old. All right. In a minute, I'm going to explain in depth how when you read the Tanakh, when you go to the Blue Letter Bible, which we're going to go to in just a minute, how when you look at a paragraph from the Bible or scripture, whatever the case, how sometimes you may get tripped up on words that is not even the proper pronunciation which you're looking at. How to know which letters are connected and which ones aren't. And that's what we're going to be dealing with in just a minute. But nonetheless, these are just a few examples of how qual stems actually are. You understand, words in its original form with nothing added to it. No prepositions, no pronominal suffixes. All right. Okay, so now we're about to go ahead and hit up the Blue Letter Bible online. If you're watching on your smartphone right now, you may want to blow this one up in a minute as I bring it up online on the class feed so everybody can be able to see. So bear with me for a moment. Okay, so this right here, as you see on the screen, and let me move the camera on over towards me. Let me move the microphone on over here towards me so you can hear me pretty well. This right here, what you see on the screen, is known as the Blue Letter Bible. Okay, this is a good app that you can better use towards your advantage to get used towards understanding the Hebrew itself. Okay. So bear with me for a moment as I interact with the screen so I'm going to show you exactly what you need to know. Okay, there we go. So what I just did is that in the search bar, right here at the very top in the search bar, you can be able to type in any word you want. All right. Hold up. Wait a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, so in the search bar, you can be able to type in any word you want. So we're just going to type in God, for example. If you would like any word to be um, translated for you from English to Hebrew, or if you would just like the Hebrew word for the meaning of a particular word that you want in the Hebrew. All right, so you just go to the Blue Letter Bible, this the app, and then you type whatever word that you want translated, or a word that you like the meaning of in the Hebrew. All right, and then you click enter, And then what you're gonna go ahead and do is that you're gonna have different scriptures that's gonna pop up. Okay. Hold on, let me see if I can make it scroll down. Let's see. Bear with me for a moment. It's not letting me scroll down, but I'm gonna click on the first scripture right here where it says Genesis 1 and 1. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna click on the scripture after you type in a word that you want to be translated, or a word that you want in the Hebrew for that particular meaning. You click on the scripture. I just clicked on Genesis 1 and 1, and in Genesis 1 and 1 right here it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So now we just need to look for God, or the Most High name. I mean, it's like not the Most High name. So now we just need to look for God in the Lashon Dash in the Hebrew. Okay. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna go ahead and click on Tools, and then once you click on Tools, the scripture for you is gonna pop up in the Hebrew. All right. And what you want to have is where it says reverse in the reverse reverse linear. All right, which is going to give you all the words in the scripture in Hebrew along with what it means. Okay, let me see if I can make it scroll on down right now. If not, I may just bring this back up on the board. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I may just have to bring this up on the board due to the fact that it's not letting me scroll on down. Just give me an extra minute, and I'm going to see what I can be able to do. Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do right now is that I'm going to bring this up in the board since I can't be able to scroll down on where I'm at right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and break the scripture on down for you with Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. Okay. Okay, so let me bring this back up towards the board along with the scripture. All right. So I can about that ocking while walking. I may just have to dive into that probably on next Friday. As far as for how you can better use the Blue Letter Bible in many different ways and whatnot. All right. All right. So we were just about to go into Genesis 1 and 1. I'm gonna break this on down. And two, as well, is the Blue Letter Bible is actually an app. Now you can download on your phone. You understand? It's an app. It's for free, and they even also have it for Android, for your Androids out there. All right. So this is Genesis 1:1. I'm gonna write out what it says in the English first. Okay. So Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth." And right now, what we're about to do is translate this over into the Hebrew. All right. All right. So this is it right here. And notice that I didn't put no vowel points up there. You understand? Like you will see in a blue letter Bible, you can take that out if you want to. But when you have a Tanakh, it's always going to be there consistently all throughout the Tanakh. You understand? So when it comes down towards those vowel points, just ignore them and then just read exactly what's right there in front of you. Okay. So for Genesis 1:1, it says in the English, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And in Lashon Gadash, it is pronounced as Bara Ashiaf, Bara Alahayim, Af, Hashemayim, Wa'af, Ha'arataza. All right. Now, when it comes down towards bigger scriptures, which are almost like paragraphs, um, with even bigger words than Bara Ashiaf, is that when it comes down towards a much bigger word, what you don't want to do is connect letters that you know that is not connected, that you know that is not connected in the scripture. You understand? You may sometimes trip yourself up with connecting the first two letters at the very beginning, which Arden, but 9 times out of 10, for bigger words, the last two letters on the very end are pronominal suffixes, which are two letters that are connected together. All right, so that's something that can better help you out. As far as for much bigger words, the last two letters on the end are always going to be connected, and the root word would be in the middle, as to where as to where the last two letters in that root word will be connected, just like how you have ash, bara ash. You understand? Where ash is the root word, ba is a preposition. The yaf is a the yaf is a is a pronoun suffix. Ra'ash is a root word right here. You understand? Which means head. You understand? But Bara'ash means what? Let's see who knows what Bara'ash means in the Hebrew. before I write it out. I'm gonna look online for this as well. All right. All right. For time's sake, Bara'ashiaf means beginning, or in this case, in the beginning. All right. So our preposition ba means in. All right. And then we have Ra'ashiaf, which means beginning. All right. And then we have Bara'ah, which means created. And then we have Alahayim, which means God. Alahayim can mean all sorts of things based on the context of the scripture which you're reading. It doesn't necessarily have to mean God. You understand? Alahayim can mean angels. It can mean judges. It can mean powers. All right. And then we have Af, which is the, but this Af is silent in the scripture because we have a preposition ha, which means the. All right. And it would be let's see, Hashemayim, I believe it means heaven. Let me double check. And this is like what I mean right here as well. That I want to show you on the big screen as far as to the Blue Letter Bible, as I bring it up towards the screen right here. And how you see Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. The scripture is translated for you from the English over to the Hebrew. And then as you scroll on down, it gives you the words in English. Hold up. It gives you the words in English over into Hebrew with how you can be able to pronounce it. All right. So Bara'ashiaf, as you click on that word in the Hebrew, it says beginning, first, choice part, and that's basically just is etymology. All right. I can be able to type in. I can be able to go to another word. All right. So bear with me for a moment. I can be able to go to another word right here. I can be able to go to heaven. Right here where it says heaven, I click on heaven. Actually, let me go back. Let me click on the scripture again one more time. And you want to click on interlinear concordance, all right? And it brings the scripture up for you in the Hebrew. Let me make my screen brighter. Salakia. I don't know why it's so dark. There we go. Okay, so for Genesis 101, it gives you the scripture in Hebrew, and you want to be underneath Hebrew interlinear, and it gives you all the words in Hebrew and Lashon Gadash with its pronunciation. If you having trouble with pronouncing words, big words in the scriptures, you can go to the Blue Letter Bible. You can click on that word. For example, God, which is right here. That's where it says Alahayim. Okay, so I'm gonna click on where it says Strong's H430. I'm gonna click on that, and then it's going to give you its pronunciation. Now, it does have it for you in Greek, but for those of you who actually know the Lashon Gadash chart, you can replace those Greek words with the letters in Hebrew, and then you have its proper pronunciation. All right. So, as I said, God Alahayim in Hebrew, it means angels, divine ones, gods, judges, rulers. You understand? And it's always based upon the context of whatever scripture you may be looking at. All right, all right. So we have Hashemayim, which is in the Hebrew. Let me go back and double check. I believe it means heaven. Let me see. Yeah, it does mean heaven. All right. The heaven, and then we have Wa'af, the was preposition, which means and then Af means the, so it'd be and and the earth, which is Ha or Ratazah. All right. So this right here, Genesis 101, in the Lashon Gadash, it is pronounced as Bara'ashiaf, Bara'ah, Alahayim, Af. Hashemayim Wa'af HaRazazah, which is, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. All right, so I'm going to keep this up here for just a brief moment, and I'm going to come on back with a much more bigger scripture to where I won't break the whole thing on down, but how you can be able to identify which letters are connected and which ones aren't. So that way you can be able to speed through the scripture with pronouncing the words correctly. All right. Okay. All right. Now that you found the scripture I wanted to bring out, this is going to be Leviticus 23 and 32. All right. Bear with me, I can while walking online by writing the scripture out. It's a very long scripture. I'm going to be done in just a minute. Okay, what I did was that I written out half the scripture. I'm not going to write out the whole thing. This is good enough with the kind of words that is just the first part of the scripture in Leviticus 23 and 32. And also, Tuak, if you got the scripture, can you read it out loud? If you happen to have the scripture up. Also, Miyad, if you happen to have the scripture, can you read it?
Come, sir. This is the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest.
A Sabbath for what?
Of rest.
Right, because a Sabbath in the Hebrew means what? It means rest. Every Sabbath, we always going to be resting off the slave. No longer saving from another brother. We're not going to no longer be out there in the field, tending to the field. We're going to be at the crib, or either doing the service of the Lord and keeping the Sabbath. Go ahead.
And ye shall afflict your souls. In the 9th day of the month at even.
Go ahead.
From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
All right, the water for that.
And the water.
So, as I said, we're just going to go over half the scripture. I'm not going to go over the whole thing. The words that are very big right here is what would trip a lot of people up. And I only see, let me see. I only see one, so I'm just going to deal with one. No, actually two. These two right here. And anytime we see a dash in between two words, that is known as a juxtaposition or maquaf, to where these words, to where these two words here are correlating with each other. For an example, af in the Hebrew means the. All right. So now we're going to find out what this word is. All right, so it means your souls. All right, so now just saying this word, I'm gonna write out this word down here at the bottom so I can break it on down for you. And let me put a line to separate them both. Okay, so this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 letter word. You understand? The bigger the words are, the harder for a lot of people it may be seen to pronounce. You understand? So this is what we're gonna go ahead and do. All right. So what I do first is that I will look at the word, and I will look at the word first. And the first thing I will look at is if this word has a prenominal suffix or preposition. And in this case, it does. Right here, come. All right. So come is a prenominal suffix, which means what? Which means your. Your plural. And that's exactly what I just put at the very beginning of this class. All right, it means your plural. So I'm going to put your PL. And by being canceled out, we're still going to look for the word. All right, and what will be real good for you to have, as I tried to bring up early on in the class, is a blue letter Bible. All right, so I have the scripture here on my phone. So I have the scripture right here on my phone. The blue letter Bible, Leviticus 23 and 32. And now we're dealing with this word here, which I'm not going to pronounce for you, to where we're going to look for that word scrolling on down. All right. So here's the word right here. We're going to type on Strong's H5315. And that's how you want to find out the root word at all this, which is known as Napash. All right, so Napash here is the root word. So by being a root word, you need to first know how many letters is connected and which. It's like you need to know how many letters is connected and which ones aren't. All right, so I'm just gonna write it on out for you right here. Napash. All right. The na is by itself. The pa and the cha is connected. All right, so this will be pronounced as napash for the very beginning. And then this here would be the, and then we have ya, come. So it'll be pronounced as napash the you come. You understand? So that's how easily you can be able to pronounce bigger words like that, and by breaking them on down. And it's real easy to the point where if you know your prepositions and if you know your prenominal suffixes and where they place at, then all what you need to do is find a root word and then say the rest of the letters, which are going to be singular by itself. The th and the is singular. The come is the prenominal suffix, and then the posh is the root word. You understand? The root word 9 times out of 10 will always be at the very beginning or somewhat in the middle. All right, and it's always going to be in the middle for smaller words, but for bigger words, it's going to be at the very beginning. All right, so that was just one example right there. So this is pronounced as napash, the, yakam, which means your souls. All right, and actually, since af means and wit, I'm gonna put wit. Sounds more correct with that grammar itself. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, a 5-syllable word for this 7-letter word. All right, so it's actually pronounced as napasto you come for this word right here, because a lot of times you may find yourself saying napa sha the you come napash the you kama. That's where it's much more easier to break the word on down first by seeing if it's a preposition anywhere in place or a prenominal suffix. Once you find that and you eliminate that, find a root word, pronounce the root word, and then the rest of the letters are going to be singular by itself, and then shalom. All right. So I'm going to do another one. Let me see which one I want to do. I'm going to do this next bigger word right here. All right. All right, so automatically off the bat, this right here, the last 2 letters are going to be connected, which is going to be I. So this will be pronounced as Batash I. All right, and let me bring up its meaning. And this root word as well. All right. So the root word right here is the sha'ai. All right, without the prepositions, it would just be the sha'ai. All right, so we have our preposition here, which let's see. Let me go back towards the meaning of what the word means in Lashon Gadash. It means knife. All right. All right. So this would mean in the knife. All right. So Dasha'ai means knife. But when you add prepositions towards it, and what you see here with the um, with the with the ba, it changes it from knife to in the knife. Just like how with Ra'ash Yaf. When you add the ba in front of Ra'ash Yaf, it becomes Bara'ash Yaf, which means in the beginning. All right. So this would be um, in, and then the knife. All right, so this preposition ba means in. All right, but let me write out exactly how you would pronounce it. All right, so we pronounce as ba, that's your I. All right, which means in the knife. All right, so it's just only a matter of just knowing your prepositions and prenominal suffixes, and then identifying the root word, and it's just that simple to not get confused with pronouncing bigger words like these two. All right. And then again, it's always easier to start out first um, with the ancient Hebrew first, so to where you can be able to get used towards knowing what letters are connected and which ones are not, and which ones aren't. So that way, when you make your way towards the same Hebrew, it can come to you naturally without having to visualize which ones have separators and which ones has connectors. All right, so that way you can look at words like these and say, "Ba," that's your I. You understand? Because anytime we have the "ha" at the end of the word for a much more bigger word, it's always going to be connected towards that letter. For smaller words like this right here, for example, hawa'a, like some people may pronounce this word as hawa because it is right here. They add the double A. You understand? There's no double A. There's no double A at the end of a word when is at the end. It's always going to be by itself. All right. So this will actually will be pronounced as ha wa a. All right. So where all three letters are by itself. For smaller words, the letters will a lot of times will be singular for all the letters, but for bigger words, the two on the end will always be connected. All right, so that's something just to help you out to avoid any confusion in pronouncing bigger words. All right, so without that, I'm gonna pass the class to Priest and Officer Mayad, and that's my time, Israel Shalom.